Hi guys, Rob with S&S Archery. Today we are going to talk about the new Spot Hogg PRIZ. What is it and who's it for? Okay, we're going to get right into this. This is a really cool product from Spot Hogg. It's geared to work with the ROTI system. If you're not familiar with the ROTI system, it's a new housing from Spot Hogg that allows you to swap out your pin setup. So you could run a double pin 10,000s and then swap the insert for a single pin 19,000s if you want. So it's a pretty cool setup. So this is actually a specialized prism that goes in behind the pins and shifts the target up about 3/4 of an inch. What does that mean? So I'm sure you've been out at the range, you want to hit 100 yards and your fletchings start hitting the bottom of the sight housing. So imagine if you could move that sight housing up 3/4 of an inch, how much more range you would get. Well, that's exactly what this does. For me, I'm probably maxed out at 100 yards, so I might get 140 yards out of this. Let's talk about who this is for. So right off the bat, my first thought is 3D shooters, right? So you're going to those TAC events, you're shooting those crazy 120, 140 yard shots. That's exactly a perfect fit for this. Sometimes if you've got really heavy arrow, you'll find that you really need to be pulling a lot of poundage in order to get those 50, 60 yard shots accurately. Well, this is going to shift those pins up and allow you to not have to pull as much poundage to get those longer distance shots. Youth and really anybody with low poundage setup, or if you've got a super short draw length, again, you're going to be able to get a more max yardage out of this. Okay, a couple other things that come to mind. Accuracy. When Spot Hogg comes out with their 3-pin horizontal setup for the ROTI, you can imagine that bottom pin is going to be in the bottom of the housing if you want the max yardage. Well, this is absolutely going to help that too. It's going to get that bottom pin up closer to the center of housing where it's going to be more accurate. Also, if you're training at 100 yards, 80 to 100 yards, how easy is a 40-yard shot going to be when you're hunting? It's going to feel like a layup. So it's really going to inspire confidence in your setup if you can train with this setup. Okay, so what's this system come with? Really cool tin here. I'm going to open this guy up. Got a cleaning cloth because this is a lens. You got the PRIZ lens here as well. And underneath this foam are some longer screws that you're going to need. This also comes with some super long-range sight tapes. You can see here this one goes out to 120, 140, 150, and we've got some 200-yard sight tapes. Kind of crazy, but pretty cool to be able to see that on your setup. Let's go through the install on this. First thing I'm going to need to do is remove the sunshade. This is the new Hogfather Pro from Spot Hogg. I'm going to need a 3/32 Allen key here to remove this. I'm going to need to save these 4 screws I just pulled out of the sunshade if I want to remove the PRIZ from the ROTI. So here's the lens. Now it's really going to be hard to see on camera here, but there is a number at the bottom. I'm going to want to make sure that that's at the bottom. Now I know some of you guys are going to be running your ROTI with the pins hanging from the top. You still need to make sure this number is near the bottom. I'm just going to put the little nipples here into these holes and make sure things line up properly. Okay, now that I have the lens attached to the insert and the insert attached to the housing, I'm going to take these 4 longer screws and reinstall the sunshade here. Okay, there you have it. Sunshade is installed with the PRIZ and the insert, and looks like we're good to go here. Okay, so one other change I need to make to my sight is I need to move this up now to compensate for the change in elevation of what you see through the sight housing. So when I move this up, I want to move it up about 3 spots. When I move this though, it's going to mess with my second axis. So what I'm going to do to make sure my second axis doesn't change is I'm just going to loosen one side, okay? One side has changed, and that was a 556. I got a 5/32 here, and I'm going to remove these 2 screws. Now, Spot Hogg does come with a little Allen key that will help you get to this one. I'm going to go ahead and just remove the housing here so that I can get to that. Okay, so I'm just going to move that up 3 holes. There's 1, 2, 3. Screw this bad boy back in. I'm gonna leave this one a little bit loose, and then I'm gonna tighten down my second axis, and that's just gonna ensure that everything stays the same here. Okay, second axis is tight. Tighten this guy down again. I'm gonna put the sight housing back on. Okay, that's it for the installation. One thing I do want to say is if you typically run a rack stop on your Spot Hogg sight, you're going to want to make sure that's off. That will limit the max range you're going to get. Also, if you're a guy that shoots with both eyes open, this may be challenging just because what your non-shooter eye is going to see is going to be quite a bit different from what you see through the sight housing. Otherwise, I think this is going to be really helpful for a lot of folks. If you have any questions on this Prism or anything else in our shop, please don't hesitate to give me a call. Happy to answer your questions via text, email, whatever you got. Thanks for watching, guys.